Hi, my name is Jessica O. Matthews, and I'm the founder and CEO of Uncharted Power. It is a great honor to be a main stage speaker here at the 2021 ARPA-E Energy Innovation Summit. And I very much look forward to sharing a little bit of what we've been doing at Uncharted Power with all of you. So first, just to give you a little bit of background. At Uncharted Power, we're building the operating system, like truly the OS, for last mile infrastructure. Now, why that's specifically relevant, I think, to many of you is that our first application with this OS in the built environment is grid resilience. Specifically, what we're looking at is this gap between the smart grid and the smart city. Focusing on cities, focusing on local governments, focusing on communities. Our platform helps communities use data to improve the resiliency of their local infrastructure. So when the electrical grid fails, the community doesn't. Let me give you a little bit more information on this, though I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir. The reality is that this is a massive global problem when we think about access to reliable, resilient energy services. While it's true that the number of people living without access to any type of electricity has steadily gone down, the reality is that the number of people living without access to reliable energy services consistently is going up. And again, defining reasonably reliable at an annual average of no more than one outage or 1 hour of outage per month. More than half the planet does not have access to reliable energy. And what we found at Uncharted Power through our studies, through our work, and through our development is that it really doesn't need to be this way. The technologies we need to deliver reliable power to every person and thing on the planet exist today. So then what's the actual problem? Well, from a technological perspective, I think the simplest way, honestly, to say it is that these technologies, while they do exist, are not very good at communicating with each other. Specifically, they're not very good at interoperating with each other. And this lack of interoperability makes it difficult to capture, share, and analyze data across different technologies in the built environment, especially at that last mile of infrastructure, which of course then increases the cost of deploying and managing them. And when things are particularly expensive, only some people can get them, only some communities can get them, kind of fostering more inequity. Now, this is not just a digital concept, right? The built environment is very much the intersection of the physical and digital. And so when you think about, again, capturing this data, we're talking about dig once issues. If it's difficult to integrate new technologies into the built environment, again, very much we're seeing this happening as the grid is not set up for all these things that are coming in that are prosumers at the edge, then it's difficult to capture the data that's being generated by those technologies at the edge as well. Let's say you are able to deploy them, but if they each have their own dashboard, right? You have these fractionated ecosystems that make it difficult to actually manage and understand what's going on in your ecosystem. From a power perspective, again, what cuts across all technology, they need power, but unfortunately, it is very difficult for the grid to actually understand how power is being consumed at that last mile edge. And to be honest, even if they did have that data truly at that granular level, it's very difficult to manage that data locally as well. And then, again, not to be too on the nose, but the actual communication protocols are a true issue. A lot of these technologies are being developed with just varying standards for communication. Some technologies are thinking about 5G as the main protocol, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, LoRa. And without having localized translation, again, you really don't have streamlined infrastructure data sharing. A civil engineer that we worked with in upstate New York, I think, said it best. All the different systems are not standardized. The hardware is not the problem, but more so the software is the problem. The software is all proprietary, so it won't talk to each other. Now, it goes beyond the technology, though. These information silos we found in our work are something that's truly holding back the way the broader stakeholders in infrastructure who are attempting to manage and invest in infrastructure are actually able to work. Governments lack cross-departmental awareness of existing municipal infrastructure assets. Infrastructure investors and developers lack streamlined access to a community's existing infrastructure and ongoing asset performance data, information that they could use to de-risk investing in communities that need the infrastructure the most. And so, of course, now the result is essentially almost like a black hole of information, lack of information. And it's especially exasperated at the last mile. More and more, as we think about what a smart city could be, what a sustainable city could be, and we're thinking about deploying technological solutions that are designed to give people a better livelihood, to make the infrastructure more resilient. But we don't have the information we need to make it scalable, to make it something you can truly count on in that last mile. Again, the edge of the city to the citizen. And that's where Uncharted Power fits in. Specifically, the Uncharted Platform reduces the cost of last mile grid failure for communities by efficiently integrating resiliency solutions into the built environment, plug and play interface, serviceable ground, making it easier to deploy these technologies. And then securely monitoring, sharing, and analyzing last mile infrastructure power data for all stakeholders involved. Now, the technological stack that allows us to do this is complex and broad. And there's not enough time to go into each piece today. But for those of you who are interested, we would love to show you. What you need to know, though, is that it's so much more than just a physical paver in the ground. The Uncharted Platform consists truly of a suite of proprietary and open source technologies that promote interoperability and the localized use of data. So now, though, let's make it real. And so what we're going to show you first is a video. And this is going to be a video of actually our deployment of our technological stack in Poughkeepsie, New York, in upstate New York, in the public right of way, right? So truly out there in the real world right now, you could go and see it.
Here at Uncharted Power, we transform the sidewalk into a data center. We are currently standing right here on Cannon Street within the city of Poughkeepsie that is nestled within the Hudson Valley.
What started as just a conduit for power and communication turned into essentially a modular housing for smart city technologies.
So what that means is we're taking the ground, which is a community and a city's most underutilized asset, and we're turning it into a wireless mesh network of power, communications, and computabilities.
They're able to house electronics, sensors, and the original intention, power and communication lines.
The goal is that it'll feel and look just like any other sidewalk you might come across.
In addition to the 40 panels behind me, there are also 2 what we call edge nodes. The data that is collected is then sent to each of these edge nodes.
And from there, we can then aggregate it in the cloud and visualize it through our digital twin. We can then give data to the community and the city to make better data-backed decisions.
Looks very new and exciting. It can add to the infrastructure of the municipalities and the public.
It's a really cool idea, putting technology into pavers that are ubiquitous to the environment.
We're super duper excited to hear about what's going on with Uncharted Power because I feel like the sidewalks could use a little bit of improvement. They have a lot of great ideas and I'd love to see those great ideas here. So I'm really excited that Uncharted Power remembered us.
These panels, while they are being used as a sidewalk here, are able to replace pavement anywhere, whether that be sidewalk, parking lots, roads, or even up to highways.
Unlike a concrete sidewalk, there's much less maintenance requirements for it.
The biggest value add is sort of future-proofing your sidewalks.
There's easy accessibility. We can pick up each section as opposed to picking up large sections of sidewalk, disrupting most of the public access and right-of-way.
You can just open up the Uncharted system, add in the electronics that you want to, remove what electronics you don't need anymore, and close it back up again.
We've been super excited to work closely with the city of Poughkeepsie in order to showcase and demonstrate what our technology can do and envision a world where it's all over Cannon Street as well as all over the city of Poughkeepsie.
Hopefully one day create smarter cities than what we have today.
Our CTO, Bill Pugh, is going to show you a real-time digital twin visualization of that installation and all the interesting things we can do.
So in effect, that exact deployment that you were just looking at in the video is represented right here, and so it is an actual virtual representation of the physical environment. This is the edge node that's sitting over here. These are a pack of sensors that are deployed within the pavers that are actually recording and sending their data across to the edge node via Bluetooth. We also have a backhaul connection that's cellular, and ultimately at the end of the day, like I said, this is our development environment. We'll be instituting Wi-Fi and other transport solutions in there as well. We're protocol and transport supportive, meaning that it really doesn't matter. We're going to issue protocol translation within the edge nodes. And at the end of the day, when you look at what the edge node is doing, it's taking and processing the data in real time, and it's making localized stateful decisions about what data to send back to the cloud. So the difference between what we're doing versus everyone saying, well, we have a cloud solution, is that the majority, as Jess said, the majority of their solutions are stateless. We're 100% stateful, meaning that we want to understand what has changed, when it's changed, and then decide what to do with that data at that time. Now, this is, again, just an example of one of the things that we're doing. So we wanted to prove that zero-touch provisioning could be done, zero-touch monitoring, management, and having the resources of the edge cloud out there is a big deal. At the end of the day, when a city decides that they're going to continue to deploy these, and as the deployments grow, the city is actually building a data center in and of itself, with the availability, because we're kind of giving them an indication of how much compute is available, how much, what the signal strength is, so what's the health of the network. And it doesn't matter whether it's a third party or whether it's third party data or any of that, it can all be represented within the digital twin. So a couple of quick use cases could be the use of combining these solutions, environmental monitors, traffic monitoring, parking. One of my favorites is I really want to get to broadband and understanding, network management and monitoring there as well. So, in essence, you can use this as a planning tool as well. So you can make a twin of the twin and then decide what's going to happen. You can run multiple scenarios across that to see what the impact would be. Now you're truly making a data-driven decision because you're working with the environment that you're actually going to be building in.
Thanks, Bill. So now, again, I wish that we had more time to really dive deep into all of these things. And we really do encourage all of you to reach out to us. We could not be more excited to show you what we're working on and where we plan to go. But in many ways, I think this quote says it best, right? Yes, we're starting right now with last mile monitoring and measuring of critical infrastructure assets as we think about using that information to deploy the right sized resiliency solution for the community, for the local government, to know that their assets will stay on when the power goes out. But the reality is that by making it possible to converge network and compute at the edge, infrastructure edge computing becomes the foundation for a next generation internet and the way to fix the last mile, right? The tricky part of infrastructure service delivery that's been plaguing us as a society for way too long. And so I guess just to close, to kind of bring it back to how we are going to start bringing this solution to market, we are a business that believes in managed services. This is not our data. This is not our public right of way. It's our goal to empower the local government to use their assets, both physical and digital, to bridge the gap between what world they want for their citizens and the world that currently exists. And I'll close and say that, as a MWBE and as a company that has in some form been in this space now for over a decade, it is our true and honest goal to be part of the solution that finally gives people the smart grid that they've been hoping for, the smart world that they've been hoping for. And we know that this is not a easy thing to do, and that the first part is really thinking about collaborative ways of building with brilliant technologists like yourself, brilliant business people like yourselves, to get to this future that we all want. And so again, if you have any questions, we would love to answer them. We would love to work with you. Thank you very much.